Hello guys, in this video we're going to talk about the revision quiz 5. So please simplify the expression and express the answers with the positive indices. So I told a lot of times I want the positive indices. So if you have a negative indices, so for example a to the power of negative m, you should change it to 1 over a to the power of m. So I don't want to see any negative indices anymore. Okay, so for the first question, it's x to the power of 10 times x to the power of 3. So if you have something like a to the power of m times a to the power of n, you can change it to keep to the same base and then adding up the powers. So this is equal to, as the base is the same, so we can change it to x to the power of 10 plus 3 is equal to x to the power of 13. So for question B, we're going to using the formula that a to the power of m divided by a to the power of n is equal to a to the power of n minus n. So when divide two things, you minus the power. Okay, so now we have this is equal to x to the power of 6 minus 3, as the base are the same, so we minus the power, so we have this is equal to x to the power of 3. So for these questions, we can separate the numbers together with the variables. So we first of all can change it to 4 times 3, put them together, and then times x to the power of 5 times x squared times x. So x means x to the power of 1. So 4 times 3 giving you 12, and then this 3 times together, which means that we can put the powers together. So 5 plus 2 plus 1 give you the answer is x to the power of 5 plus 2 plus 1. So this is equal to 12x to the power of 8. So for part D, we can separate it into the two things. So we can separate it into a to the power of 7 divided by a to the power of 2 times y squared divided by y to the power of 7. So we just minus the powers together. So we have a to the power of 7 minus 2 times y to the power of 2 minus 7. So simplify, you can get this is equal to a to the power of 5 times y to the power of negative 5, because 2 minus 7 gives you negative 5. But when we have a negative power, we need to change it to the denominator. So we have this is equal to a to the power of 5 divided by y to the power of 5. So for part E, into using the equation that ab to the power of m is separated, you distributed the m to both of the things. So we get a to the power of b, a to the power of m, times b to the power of m. And then into using that, if a to the power of m and bracket, out of bracket, still get a power, then you times the power together, so m times n. So for this one, we got a squared here, so we distributed the square to both of them. So we have a to the power of 4 squared, and then we times b cubed and then squared. So what we have done is just distributed the square to both of them, and then we divided by a to the power of 6 together with the b squared. So for this one, we have a power outside the power, so we can using this formula to times the power together. So we have a to the power of 4 times 2 times b to the power of 3 times 2 divided by a to the power of 6 times b to the power of 2. Then we can say that as these two power times together give you a to the power of 8 times b to the power of 6 divided by a to the power of 6 times b squared. Then as these two can be separated into two fractions, then we can say, and then these two things are divided by each other, so we can minus the power to get a to the power of 2 times b to the power of 4, as we have 8 minus 6 giving you 2, 6 minus 2 giving you 4. Okay, so that's for question E. So now we're going to do question F. So for this one, as again, if you have a squared, it's not only giving to the variables, it's giving to all of the things together. So now we can say this is equal to negative 3 squared. Remember, something negative squared is you're giving the bracket first. You count this as a negative number and then you take the square, which means this is equal to negative 3 times negative 3, which is not equal to negative 3 squared. Okay, this is not equal to negative 3 squared. So then we have the x squared as well. Then negative 3 total squared is equal to 9x squared. Okay, so for this one, you distributed the 3 to both of them. So you got 5 times x cubed times 2 cubed times x cubed. So now you can group the numbers together to get 5 times 2 cubed times x cubed times x cubed. So these two things times together is equal to 5 times 2 cubed, which is equal to 8. 5 times 8 gives you 40. And then x cubed times x cubed, you can using a to the power of m times a to the power of m is equal to 8 to the power of m plus m. So 3 plus 3, we're giving the power as 6. So we have x to the power of 6. So for this question, we're still doing the same thing. We have a power outside the bracket, so we distributed the power to both of them. So this is equal to x squared to the power of -4 times y to the power of -3 to the power of -4. So you see that we group the x squared as the whole thing, and then we distributed this power to the whole x squared, similar to this y to the power of -3. And as I have a power of a power, then we can say we can times the power together to get that x to the power of -8. The -8 is getting from 2 times -4. So for the y part, we have -3 times -4. Two negatives times together give you positive, 3 times 4 give you positive 12. So we have y to the power of 12. But remember, they still have a negative power, so we change it to the bottom. There I have 1 to the power of 12 divided by 8 to the power of 8, x to the power of 8. Okay, so for this one, we still have a power here, so we distribute it to both of them. So we have x to the power of 5, all the thing to the power of -6, divided by y cubed, divided by the power of 6. They have a power of a power, so we times the things together to get x to the power of -30, divided by y to the power of -18. As you have two negative powers on the numerator and denominator, you just swap them directly to change it to become the positive power. So we have y to the power of 18 divided by x to the power of 30. Alright, so for this one, therefore same base, there's two methods to do it. First of all, you can using a to the power of m divided by a to the power of n is equal to a to the power of n minus n. So this is equal to a to the power of -8 minus the -12. So remember there's two negatives together, so you can change it to a to the power of -8 plus 12. Then you have this is equal to a to the power of 4. And the second way, as both of them are the negative power, so you can swap them first. You swap a to the power of 12 to the numerator and put a to the power of 8 at the denominator. And then just using a to the power of 12 minus 8 can get the answer is a to the power of 4. So both methods is okay. You just decide which one you want to use. Alright, so for question 2 is going to express the whole thing in scientific notation. So once again, scientific notation means that we have a number a times 10 to the power of b. There's some restraints on the a, which means that a should be in between of 1 is smaller than or equal to a and is smaller than 10. So a should be a single integer. So it's an integer is smaller than 10 and greater than 1. Okay, that's my restraint on a. And then the b, what we want is an integer, positive or negative integer. Positive integer means that we make the number become greater. We make a become greater. If b is a negative integer, which means that we make a become smaller. Okay, so for example, a is 1 and then times 10 to the power of -5, it becomes a decimal like 0.00001. But if a is 1 and then times 10 to the power of 5, which means we make a become larger, so maybe become like a 10,000. Okay, so that's the scientific notation. So first of all, what we want to do is to change it to times to the power of 8. So what we can do is to, first of all, we have -0.04023. 0.2, we can adding some more zeros here, and then times 10 to the power of 8 means we move the decimal dot to the right, because we're making the numbers larger, so we move the dot to the right and to make the things larger for 8 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. So our dot is actually here. So we can get the integer is equal to 40230. Okay, but as we want is the scientific notation, so what we want to say is to write it as the 4.023. Our dot should be here. But actually our dot is now here, and then what we have done is to move it back to the left. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So what we want to do is to make the dot to be the left, and then put in between of the 4 and 0. As we move for 4 times, so we have to times 10 to the power of 4. So you double check it. This number, we have a number times 10 to the power of 4. And this power is a positive number, which means the a to become larger, and actually it's become larger. Alright? So now we try to make 3.24 times 10 to the power of -4 as decimal numbers. So first of all, we write down 3.24. And then as this is times 10 to the power of a negative power, so we want to make this number, become smaller. So we're adding some more zeros here, how many you want to add. So -4, which means that we move the dot to the left-hand side. When the dot is moving to the left, it's going to make the numbers to become smaller. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So our dot is actually here. So and then we write down the whole thing. This is equal to 0. You can't hear this 1, 2, 3, 3 dots. So 0, 0, 0, 3, 2, 4. Okay, so again, we need to change a large number to a scientific notation. So where should we put our dot? Our dot should be put here. So we change it to become 2.83 times 10 to the power of what? Our dots originally is here. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we move for 7 times, so it's 10 to the power of 7, and we double check it. As this times, we times to 10 to the power of 7, which means that we make this number become larger, and yes, this number is actually larger. Okay, so that's for question 4. And then for question 5, we have similar numbers. We need to change it to scientific notation. Our dot should be put here. So we have to first of all write down negative 3.22 times 10 to the power of something. Our dot originally is here, so we move for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 times. So 10 to the power of 6. Okay, so expanded form, which means that we have to count it. This is a binary numbers, so we have to write down something times 10 to the power of something plus all of the things together. And we're starting from the right. And this is 10 to the power of 0, this is 10 to the power of 1, 10 to the power of 2, 10 to the power of 3, 10 to the power of 4, and 10 to the power of 5. Then we can write it as 8 times 10 to the power of 5 plus 7 times 10 to the power of 4. And this is 0, you can either write it or not. So this is 0 times 10 to the power of 3 plus 3 times 10 to the power of 2 plus 4 times 10 to the power of 1. And then don't just write me a 5 here. I want a 5 times 10 to the power of 0. So you illustrate that. So you emphasize that the last term is 10 to the power of 0, which means that you are absolutely correct. Okay, so that's how we expanded the binary numbers. So now we try to go into the binary world. So we try to expand this binary numbers. So when you expanded the binary numbers, we actually just change this base 10 to be base 2. Okay, so we're doing the same thing. This is 2 to the power of 0, 2 to the power of 1, 2 to the power of 2, 2 to the power of 3, 2 to the power of 4, and 2 to the power of 5. Okay, so now we can say this is equal to 1 times, because the number is just 1 or 0. So 1 times 2 to the power of 5 plus 1 times 2 to the power of 4 plus 0 times 2 to the power of 3 plus 0 times 2 to the power of 2 plus 1 times 2 to the power of 1. And the last term, don't just give me 1. I know it's equal to 1, but give me 2 to the power of 0 as well. Okay, so that's for question 7. We expand it. And if we change the same thing into a binary numbers, which means that we have just calculate our expanded form, as this is 1100112 is equal to 2 to the power of 5. You see this 2 to the power of 5 plus 2 to the power of 4. 3 and 2 is empty, and we just need to plus this 2 thing. 2 to the power of 1 plus 2 to the power of 0. 2 to the power of 0 give you 1, 2 to the power of 2 give you 2, 2 to the power of 4 give you 16, 2 to the power of 5 give you 32. You're adding them up, then you can get this is equal to 51. Okay, so that's for question 8. So next page, we're going to factorize something. As again, we can write this thing is equal to 5 times a minus 5a. So first of all, what we're going to do is to take out there's something exactly the same on the left and on the right. We're talking about this negative sign. On the negative sign's left, we compare it to the negative sign's right. We compare if there's anything is the same. So we can see that 5 and 5 are the same, a and a are the same. So we can do this as taking out 5a, and when you're taking out the common factor, you give a whole bracket, and then what we want is just leave this go, let this go, and what we left is a. Okay, and then we keep the minus here and here, because 5a are all taken out, but we can actually write 5a times 1, isn't it? So even though 5a are gone, but we still have a 1 here, so we just minus the 1. So that's for question A. And then for question B, we can write it as this is equal to x times y times y times y times y, or we can actually write it as y to the power of 4 times y, and then plus x times y, isn't it? So now we can see that there's x and y as the common factor. So all of them, x and y are common factor. So which means that we need to take out xy as the common factor. And what we left, we take out x and y. What we left is this y to the power of 4, y to the power of 4. We keep this sign plus, and then from the right hand side, we have x and y being taken out. So what we left is x. Okay, so that's for question B. So for these questions, there's no thing in common in 4 terms, but actually we can group this 2 thing together, and want to group this 2 thing together. So we can try to write as the bracket of 5x minus 5y minus the bracket of bx plus by. Is this correct? It's actually wrong. So please remember, when you're adding the bracket after this negative, after this magic negative, you can't just add it, okay? If you add it, it's okay. We want to change the middle sign. We need to change the middle sign. When you're adding the bracket after the negative, what we're going to do is to change the middle sign. So we need to change this one to become negative by. Okay, so now we can consider about it. There's a 5 in common, so we take out the 5, and what we left is take out the 5, what we left is the x, the minus, and the y. So we just write it down, x minus y. We keep this negative, and then there's a bx minus by. We can take out a b as well. So we take out the b, adding the bracket, and what we left just x minus y. And still, there's a common factor. which is x minus y. We can consider about x minus y as a common factor. Then we take it out, we take x minus y out, and then what we have, we take out x minus y, so what we have is just 5, and we have a minus here, we take out x minus y, we still have a b, so we can say this is equal to 5 minus b. Okay, so that's for question C. So now we're trying to do question D. Still there's a two thing together, so we can separate it into 3xy minus 6x, and then minus the bracket, we keep the two thing after be bracketed, so we have 10y minus the 20. So as again, if you want to adding a bracket after the negative, remember to change the middle sign. We change it to negative. So positive change to negative, negative change to positive. Okay. Once again, so when you're adding a bracket after the negative sign, you need to change the middle sign. Okay. So now we can take out a common factor. We have 3, we have x, we have 3 here, we have x here as well. So after we take out the 3x, what we left is y, and then 6 taking out from 3, what we have is 2, and x is being taken out. So what we left is just y minus 2, and then from this 10, y, and 20, the common factor must be 10. So we take out a 10, and then 10y take out 10, we just have y left. 20 take out 10, we still have a 2 here, because 10 times 2 giving you 20, isn't it? And then there's 3 times 2 giving you the x. So now we have the y minus 2 as the common factor. We take out the y minus 2, and then we times 3x minus 10. Okay, so that's for question D. 3x minus 10. Okay, so for question E, we got this quadratic equation. So first of all, what we want to do is to do like this. We want two things times together, and we think about two numbers times together is equal to x squared, which is x times x. And we have to think about two numbers times together is giving you positive 30. So probably we can think about like this is equal to negative 5 and negative 6, and then we do the cross method. So this is equal to negative 2x, this is equal to negative 5x, and then we plus them together is equal to negative 11x, which is bingo as the middle one. So we can think about this x minus 5 and x minus 6 as our common as our factors of this quadratic equations. So we can write that down, x minus 5 and x minus 6. So if you don't want to use the quadratic equations, you can just use the formula 01. So go to mode 1, formula 01. So just enter in the a is the number in front of the x squared, so which is 1 this time. So which is 1, and then the b is the numbers in front of the x with the sign. Okay, so we have to put out as the negative 11, so we put negative 11 as the b, and then 30 as our number of c. So you can see that we have you can see from the calculator that you have x is equal to something 6. So now we can move the whole thing to the left hand side, becomes x minus 6, and then press the exe again, you get x is equal to 5. So we change the 5 to the left hand side as well, so we have the second factor, which is x minus 5. Alright, so for question F, we can do the similar thing. We can using two things times together. We can put a and a here, and then think about two numbers times together equal to 32. And we have maybe x and x, I'm sorry, this time is a. So we have a, and we think about like we have 8 times negative 4 is equal to negative 32, which is correct. And then we cross out them together, so we have negative 4a and 8a. We plus them together to give you a positive 4a, so which is correct, which is actually the same as the middle one. So our answer just equal to a minus 8 times a minus 4. Okay, so again, if you want to use the calculator, you just press in the numbers inside the formula 01. So in a, you need to put out the coefficients, so the numbers of at the front of the a squared, which is 1 definitely. So you put 1 as a, and then we want the numbers in front of the a, so which is a 4, and then we want a constant term, which is negative 32. So if you put all of the things in, we have the x is equal to 4, so we can change it to becomes a minus 4. And then you press the exe again, we have x equal to minus 8. We turn it to the left hand side, we got a plus 8. Okay, as our variable this time is x, so as our variable now this time is a, you can't just keep the x. Okay, we just change the x to become a. Okay, so that's for the all question 9. So for question 10, Terry deposit like a huge money, like 182,500 in the bank with a simple interest rate. So please remember, the simple interest is calculating by using the formula, the I is equal to PRT. Okay, so now we want to calculate the interest together with the amount. And now we have what is P, what is R, what is T. Our principal, which is equal to 182,500, and our rate, which is equal to 3.5%. For how many years? the t should be equal to 6 years. So we just substitute all of the things inside our formula I equal to PRT. So I is equal to 182,500 times 3.5%, and then times another 6. So our AI is equal to 182,500 times 0.035 times 6. So the answer is giving you the interest after 6 years is going to be equal to 38325. So the amount, now we want to calculate the amount, is going to be the principal plus the amount. So this is equal to 38325 plus our principal, which is 182,500. So again, we plus 182,500. To get the answer, the amount is equal to 220,825. So for part B, we want to calculate the compound interest, which is compound yearly. We have the years, we have the interest rates per annum, we have the principal. So we can just using our formula A equal to P times 1 plus R percent to the power of T. As we have, I don't want the A, I want the P. The P is equal to 73,000, and our R is equal to 8%, and our T is equal to 4 years. So now we can substitute all of the things to find out what is our amount. So the amount is equal to the P, which is 73,000, times 1 plus 8% to the power of 4 years. So we want 4 years and it's common yearly, so it's just 4 interest we're going to get. So it's to the power of 4. So A is going to be equal to 73,000 times 1.08 to the power of 4. So to the nearest integer, which is going to be 99315.6, but what we want is nearest integer, nearest dollar, so we have 99316. Okay, so that's for question A. And then you need to find out the interest. So the interest between the amount and the principal is going to be using the I is equal to the P, the amount minus the principal. The amount minus principal. As the amount is the total sum of from the principal together with the interest, so the interest just equal to the amount minus principal. So now we can have the amount, the interest is equal to the amount, which is 99316 minus the interest. The interest we can get. I want to find out interest, so we need to minus the principal. So minus 73,000. So minus 73,000, we can get the answer. The interest is equal to 26316. Okay, so that's for question 11. So now for question 12, the current price of an air conditioner is 8,000 something, and it's an increased rate. So there's an increasing factor, isn't it? So it's 0.5 percentage per year. So it's very small, but still it's increasing. So we want to find out the price after 4 years. So we have our timeline. This is the current. This is 4 years after, and then our principal is 8650, and our increasing factor, which is 1 plus 0.5%. So what we can do is our new price is equal to 8650 times 1 plus 0.5% and to the power of 4. So that's the formula to calculate it. And then you think about it, as this is increasing, so you times another factor which is larger than 1, so makes the original number becomes larger. So you have 8050 times 1 plus 0.5% to the power of 4. So this is going to be equal to 8824. Okay, so that's the price of the air conditioner 4 years later. So for the last questions, so Penny bought the iPhone 6 Plus with a value of 10,000 8 years ago. So and the value of the iPhone Plus is depreciated, so the price is decreasing at a rate of 22%. So find the current value. So actually we have two timelines. So we have the timeline which is 8 years ago, and we have the timeline which is the current. And as we know, the price 8 years ago, which is 10K, which means that what we want to find out is the current value, and then it's depreciating, so it's 1 minus 22%. For 8 years, so we have 10K times 1 minus 22%, and to the power of 8, because each year the price is decreasing. You can see that the price is depreciated at the rate of 20% every year. So this is going to be equal to 10K times 1 minus 22% to the power of 8. So this is equal to the amount of 1,000 something, 1,370. So if you see that the decreasing factor is not that hard, it's not that high, but after 8 years, $10,000 is nearly 1,000 left. Okay, so that's for the whole revision paper. So please study it on your own time, and then make sure that you understand every single question. Thank